Maxie, come on up.
Thank you, man. So I'm in a manager's meeting, right? It's all managers, directors, just like everybody's like really high level and shit in this meeting. And I'm in the meeting and there's this one guy in the meeting who was like the head of IT, and he's sitting right by the door. So like everybody, when you walk into the meeting, you gotta walk right past this guy. And you know how when someone has germs and you pass by him and you can smell it? And he's sitting right by the door and he got all these germs and he's hacking and coughing and blowing his nose and sniffling. And everybody passed by him, and you know, we all went in and sat down in the conference room, and he's blowing his nose and he has tissue and he's just putting it on the table. That shit was nasty. And the whole meeting, everybody's like, nobody's sitting right next to him. Everybody's just staying away from him. But the meeting ends and he just like gets up and darts out the door. And he leaves a tissue right on the table. And everybody was like, ew, look at that shit. And I called him, I was like, yo, Jonathan. Oh, you know, that was this guy. I was like, yo, Jonathan, come and get your tissue, man. And he looked at me like really, really disgusted. He came back and he was like, and he snatched it up and he walked out of the meeting. I didn't think anything of it because I felt you're supposed to do that anyway. Yeah. So, thank you for that. So, about 15 minutes later, I go back to my area. Now, the area that I manage is like a fishbowl area, and all of my people are in this area. You can see them all, and there's just one entrance and one exit. And I go back, but I'm not going to my area. I'm going past my area. So I walk past my area. I'm just walking, and I walk past, and the way that I am is, if I see something on the floor that doesn't belong there, I pick it up and throw it away. I don't ask anyone else to do it. I do it. And if there's tissue on the floor, I take another piece of tissue and I pick it up and I throw it away. And I pass by my area and I see this tissue on the floor. And you know how you walk by something? I just walk and I stop. And I didn't turn around and go back. I actually walked backwards. Because I'm telling you, that was the exact same tissue that I told Jonathan to pick up off that table. And I walked back and I looked at it and I knew that tissue because I just saw it like 15 minutes ago. I knew that was a tissue, but I wasn't sure. Like, how can you be sure? There was no garbage can there. Like he missed the garbage can. So I wanted to know so badly that I went to security. And you know how they got that screen with all the camera angles and shit? I looked at all the screens and I was like, that one right there. Bring up that screen. Rewind that shit about 15 minutes. Security guy was like, what do you want? Like, what do you? I was like, I can't tell you, man. Just rewind that shit. He rewound it. I was like, right there, right there, right there. He's like, what you looking for? I was like, just watch. And so we watched and we're looking and looking. And you see Jonathan walk by and he kind of goes, and threw the tissue right in my area. And me and the security guard, we were looking at it, and he looked at it, he was like, oh, shit! Why'd he do that shit? And then he wanted to know, how did I know he did that shit? I was like, it's a long story. I can't really tell you the long story. And you know, that shit was so petty, but how do you get somebody back for doing something petty without being petty yourself? So I thought on it, and I thought on it, and I thought on it. I gotta get him back for that shit, because I was real petty. So the next day, I went to our boss. And I told you know, look, I just want to share something with you. I'm not telling no, I just want to share something with you. And I told her the whole story. And she looked at me like, Maxie, you went to the security and looked through the cameras. I was like, yeah, I just had to know. And I felt like, I felt petty myself. Like, here I'm a grown-ass man complaining about a piece of tissue on the floor. And she wouldn't even do nothing about it. She was like, you know what you need to do? You need to just go let Jonathan know that you know that he did that. So I was like, all right, I'll do that. But I thought about it. First of all, Jonathan's going to say, no, I didn't do that. I didn't put that tissue on the floor. And how am I going to look saying, no, I know that piece of tissue. Not only do I know that piece of tissue, but I went to the security and look. I couldn't tell him that I actually went to security to look and make sure that was the exact same piece of tissue. So I thought on it, and I thought on it, and I thought on it, and days went by, and it wouldn't leave my head. I'm trying to let it go. Just say this, he's an asshole, let it go. But I couldn't let it go. I needed to let him know that I know that he's an asshole. And you know what I did? I went in my drawer where I put that piece of tissue. And I walked right by his office. And I looked both ways and went, I don't hold no grudges. Thank you.